Oh, hey guys. I don't think it's me you're waiting for. I'll just go call him. G! Hey G, can you come here, please?
Hey.
He'll be here now.
Okay?
You forgetting something today?
Yeah, I think, just now, I just can't put my finger on it. There's just something.
Might be something to do.
What, the sofa?
No.
No? What day is it today?
It's Thursday.
Thursday.
What do we do
On a Thursday. Do you know there's just something?
Hey, G!
Oh, hey guys. I can't. Ah! Hi guys. Happy Thursday.
I'll just leave it to it.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Hope Kidz Online that I'm totally ready for. This week is part 4 of the Joseph story. Now, the last couple of weeks we've been doing little recaps, but to be honest with you, we're so far into Joseph's story now that a recap really wouldn't help. So, if you have missed parts 1, parts 2, or part 3 of the Joseph story, I recommend you pause your video, go back, watch them, and then join us again when you're all caught up. Are you back? Excellent. Well, now that you're all caught up, guys, it's time to dive right into part 4 of the Joseph story. This week, Joseph is still in prison, and he's been there for quite a while. But just like in Potiphar's house, God was with Joseph. And because God was with Joseph, Joseph was just a really good prisoner. He was a really great guy to have around. And so the guy who was in charge of the prison put Joseph in charge of a lot of things. He put him in charge of some of the other prisoners. He put him in charge of the lunch menu, maybe. I don't know. Whatever it is they do in prison, Joseph was in charge of it. And because Joseph was in charge of it, the Bible tells us that the prison warden didn't have to worry about anything. One day, Joseph was taking breakfast to 2 prisoners, the cupbearer and the bread maker. Now, the cupbearer and the bread maker, they worked for Pharaoh, and Pharaoh was king of Egypt. But one day, Pharaoh was really grumpy and decided to send them both to prison. So there they were, and Joseph was bringing them their scrambled egg on toast. But when he looked at them, they looked really, really sad. So Joseph said to them, "Hey guys, why do you look so sad?" And they said to Joseph, "Joe, we've had some dreams, but we don't know what they mean, and we don't know anybody who can tell us." So Joseph says, "Listen, boys, all dreams belong to God. I'll tell you what, you tell me your dreams, and I'll ask God, and I'll let you know what he says." So the cupbearer went first. He said, "Joe, in my dream, I saw a vine, and the vine had 3 branches. And all of a sudden, these big, juicy grapes just started growing on them. So I took the grapes and I squished them into a cup, and I gave the cup to Pharaoh. And that was my dream." So Joseph turns to the cupbearer and says, "Well, I've got great news for you. In 3 days' time, Pharaoh is going to remember you, and he is going to ask you to come back to work." And man, the cupbearer was super excited. He was like, "Woohoo! I get my job back! Yay!" And Joseph turns to the cupbearer and says, "Listen, when you go back to Pharaoh, remember me. Tell Pharaoh about me, because I'm in prison for something I didn't do." And then, because the cupbearer had such good news, the bread maker decided to give it a go. So he turns to Joseph and says, "Yo, Joe, this was my dream. I was carrying 3 baskets on my head, and in the baskets were all these yummy treats. There were bread rolls and baguettes and croissants and banner de chocolat, and there were cakes and custard slices and jam donuts and cherry pie. Cherry pie. And as I was walking to Pharaoh's palace, the birds would swoop down and start eating all the yummy treats from the top basket. And Joseph looked at the baker and said, I am so sorry. In 3 days, Pharaoh is going to remember you, but it's not going to be good. In fact, he's going to be really angry and he's going to chop off your head. Yeah. And sure enough, 3 days later, it was Pharaoh's birthday. So he had a massive party in his palace. And while he was there, he remembered the cupbearer and the baker. And everything that Joseph had said came true. He took the baker and he had his head cut off. But the cupbearer went back to work. But the cupbearer forgot about Joseph. And I wonder, has that ever happened to you? Maybe you've asked someone to do something and they have forgotten. Maybe you asked your parents or the adults you live with to buy your favourite food when they went to Tesco and they forgot. Or maybe someone's asked you to do something and you forgot. Maybe a teacher has asked you to do some homework and you forgot. Or maybe you've put down your favourite toy and you can't remember where you put it. You've forgotten. You know, we all forget things, don't we? We forget things that are not important, and sometimes we forget things that are really important. But you know, the great thing about God is that he never forgets us. You know, the Bible tells us that when Joseph was in prison, God was with him. So even though the cupbearer forgot to mention Joseph to Pharaoh, God had not forgotten Joseph. When Joseph was in Potiphar's house, God had not forgotten him. When Joseph was down the well, God had not forgotten him. And it's great to know that just like God remembered Joseph, God remembers us. So no matter what we're going through, what season of life we are in, God is always there for us. But sometimes we forget God, don't we? Sometimes life gets really, really busy. Or sometimes we're really focused on something over here. Or something over here is distracting us. And we forget about God. And sometimes we get in trouble because we forget about God, don't we? Sometimes we forget that God wouldn't be happy with us doing this thing or saying that thing. And we do it or we say it and we forget about God. And then we remember that God wouldn't be happy with it and we feel terrible. And we're like, oh no, if only I had remembered God. And those things that we do that are wrong, we call that sin, don't we? And we've talked about sin before. And we've said that sin separates us from God. It's what stops us being friends with God. And you know, we said that God doesn't forget us. Now, God doesn't forget anything, okay? It is impossible for God to forget stuff. But you know, the Bible tells us that when it comes to our sin, when we say to God, God, I'm sorry for that thing that I did, or I'm sorry for that thing that I didn't do, and we ask him to forgive our sins, God doesn't forget about our sin. It's better than that. He doesn't forget, but he chooses not to remember. But gee, that's the same thing, right? No, it's not. Let's say that 10 years ago, I had an argument with my friend. And today I meet him for coffee. And today I say something really silly and he doesn't like it. And he says to me, you haven't changed from 10 years ago when you said that thing. My friend is choosing to remember something that happened a long time ago. In choosing to remember that, he's using it against me. He's making me feel worse because he's bringing it up and saying, do you remember this thing you did as well? It's today and that thing. But if my friend was going to choose to not remember, he would still know about that thing 10 years ago. But he wouldn't bring it up in an argument. He wouldn't use it against me. And God is the same. God doesn't forget our sin. But if I sin today, and I go to God and I say, God, forgive me of my sin, God doesn't turn around and say, well, do you know what? Yesterday, the day before, 6 weeks ago, 12 months ago, and 57,000 other times, you've done this exact same sin, and you said sorry every time, and now you want me to forgive you again. God doesn't do that. God knows about those 57,000 other times, but he chooses not to remember and says, it's okay. We'll make it 57,001 times that I will forgive you. Isn't that amazing? So guys, as you go through this week, remember that God never forgets you. And not only that, but God chooses not to remember our sin. Guys, thank you again for joining us for another Hope Kidz Online. We really hope that you have enjoyed this episode. And again, I'm really sorry, but there's no craft. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to draw me pictures of stuff that you forget all the time. Maybe you forget to do your homework, so you can draw a picture of maybe a book and a pencil. Or maybe you forget to clean your room all the time, so maybe draw a picture of your bedroom all messy. Or maybe you forget other things. You let me know. Maybe you keep forgetting to pick up your favourite toy and put it back where it's supposed to be. Draw me a picture of your favourite toy. Draw me a picture on an A4 piece of paper of all the things that you forget. And then send those photos in. And then what I want you to do is take those pictures and maybe put them up on your wall in your bedroom or on the fridge or somewhere that you look every day to help you remember those things. And I'm going to do the same thing as well. So next week, you're going to see my picture of all the things that I forget, if I remember to do it. Guys, thank you again so much. And we'll see you next week for part 5 of the Joseph story on Hope Kidz Online. Now this week, we see Joseph is still in prison, which apparently is a very difficult sentence to say. But it's been a while. We're full of really yummy bread. He was the best prisoner, the prisoner. But if we ask God to forgive us, we're kind of so far into the story now that I've messed it up again. We don't know what it is, and we can't remember what it is, and we don't...